Okay, hey everybody, I'm super pumped. I've been like begging Lisa because she like gave me like a little snippet one day when I asked her about it, and she kind of gave me a snippet. I was like, oh my God, this is so good. You need to tell everybody about this. And she was like, I know. And then like a week later, I called her and I was like, okay, I'm just going to interview you because you're not doing it. um, so I just really want her to get started and kind of just talk about why she wanted to go and do something like this, who encouraged her, what influenced her, all that stuff, and why Tony Robbins.
So I feel like there's like you have to be ready for this sort of thing. Like it's a lot. Like jumping on here tonight, I want you guys to understand, like I was immersed in this for 80 hours. And so like 80 hours over a 4-day period. Okay. And so like when you like the things that I'm going to go through, like it's going to be a lot for some of you. You probably like won't understand some of it. So just like keep an open mind about that. Okay. But here's the thing is that, I was in a point in my life where I was finally ready for something like this. And it's always been something that I've wanted to do. But I feel like you really have to be ready for it. And I was open to it and I was ready to learn and grow and listen and like actually, begin to apply something like this to my life. And I knew it would be like a next level thing. And so Tony, I feel like, for me and how I learned so many different ways, but I feel like with him, I watched I'm Not Your Guru, and that was the first time that I've ever really like listened to him or watched him or just anything that he's done. And I've heard people talk about him, for so many years. But yeah, it's on Netflix. You guys, you have to watch it. So that was like my first experience with Tony. And, I was like bawling my eyes out. I took tons of notes. And I feel like, we all have lives outside of the business. We all have lives we've been through up until this point. And for me, the older I get, the more I'm realizing like the things that I've been through and like just the things that have happened in my life where I'm like, I just have never dealt with it, or I would act like it never existed because like it hurts so bad to like think about. And for Tony, he just speaks to me on such a different level than most people. And it's like his voice, and he's like a freaking giant, you guys. Like he was standing in front of me, and this guy is so freaking huge. And he has the reason why he's so big, which a lot of people don't know, is he has a tumor on his brain, and it caused him to grow 10 inches in 1 year. And so like he's freaking huge, and like his voice.
So just to put that in perspective for you guys, I think let's just say 6'7", and Brian's 6'8". So if you've ever been around Brian, he's just like barely shorter than Brian.
He's like this huge guy. Okay. And I need someone like to get in my face. Not all the time. That's what I'm saying. Like I was ready for that. Like in my life, I was ready to have someone like in my freaking face. Like I was ready for it and open for it. And so it was something I really needed to do by myself. A lot of people, there was like maybe 5 people that knew I was actually going, and it was something I wanted to do alone, and I needed to do it alone. And I ended up meeting so many incredible people, just throughout those 4 days. And it was the most incredible experience that I honestly like can't even put it into words, but you have to be ready for that and be open for it for sure.
So when you went and like kind of what was like your own preparation that you did? Like, how did you read? Obviously you watched I'm Not Your Guru, but like, did you compare him to like anybody else, like of going to like any other seminars? Or was this kind of just like on your heart to go and you just went with your gut?
It was like on my heart to go. And I remember like, I just like woke up one day and I bought a ticket, and like, I just didn't even look back. And, I didn't do any prepping. I just watched I'm Not Your Guru. I watch it all the time. Like I seriously watch it all the time. I love it. And I listen to him religiously now. But no, I didn't do anything to prep for it because like, I just felt like a pull, like something was like literally pulling me there. And I was like, I'm just going with it. I'm just going to do it.
Okay, so I want you to kind of like walk us through the day. So I don't know if how similar it is to Date with Destiny because I've watched I'm Not Your Guru. I encourage you guys to watch it. Like, do it in place of your self-development because it literally will be self-development for you because you're watching all these other people's lives transform and you can't help but try to apply that to your own life. And it's so transformational because it doesn't feel offensive because he's not talking to you, but he's kind of talking to you.
Oh, shoot.
So I encourage all of you guys to watch it. But so there's like, it's still like a multiple day thing, but kind of talk about like the first day, what you expected and what you got.
So it's a 4-day event. Date with Destiny 7. I'll be doing that in December. I'm really excited for that. But this is a 4-day event. And, when you go, like some people choose to like be on their phones and they'll step out and take calls and they'll work and like do all of this. But I put everything away and all I took was a bag of notebooks and they give you a workbook and the room is freezing. So like they give you gloves and they give you a backpack with snacks in it. Like you literally don't like, some people don't leave their seat. Like I think that I only left my seat to go to the bathroom and like I would hold it until I like couldn't anymore. But the first day is that's the day that you walk on fire. And we are immersed in this room. Again, it was like 20 hours a day, like boom, boom, boom. And so when you're in this room and you're learning to walk on fire, it's so much more than just like walking on the fire. Like we were meditating and we like crazy things that like I've never done in my entire life. Like I'm like laying on the ground, like surrounded by people. And he just goes through like different like exercises and things like that. But the first day, what you really learn is, that you are in control of your mind. Your mind is not in control of you. And I have lived so long letting my mind control me. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I took away. Like if I've talked to you about it, that's what I've told you is that I always used to let my mind control me and the way that I would think and the things that I would do. And I would like react to the world around me instead of realizing like I'm in freaking control. Yeah. My mind is my bitch and it works for me. And so, like when you see Tony on I'm Not Your Guru, like he emerges into ice cold water every single morning, no matter where he is in the world. He emerges into it because he wants his mind to know that you work for me. And so that was a huge thing for me. And that is how, like when you walk on fire, you don't feel anything because your mind is working for you. And so that is what I took away from the first day. But he also teaches this skill is called stacking. And so like when you think like about just sitting there, like think about like stacking things on top of your chest. And this is something that I apply every day since I've learned it is it's called stacking. So what you do is let's say like someone pisses you off or something happens or like something with your family or something like in your business or your kids or whatever it is in your life. And you like want to like scream and yell and cry or whatever emotion that like you express during those moments, you stack. And so what that means is you stack what are you thankful for? Like what's something in your life right now that you're thankful for? And then you stack a moment that brought you joy. And then you stack a moment of what is something that I'm proud of. And then you stack a moment of something that's coming to you from the future. And then you stack a moment of something that's hilarious that happened. And you just start stacking all of these things. And so like whenever he was explaining it, he said that, he was in business with a guy who stole like nearly $500,000 from him. And he's like driving and he's like on his way to the office and he's like about to just blow up. And so instead of like blowing up, he just starts stacking things and like it lowers your blood pressure and it like calms you and it like makes you look at a situation for what the situation actually is instead of just like reacting. And so I know for me, like I'll just react and it's like all, and like, then I regret what I say, I regret what I do. Like, I mean, you know how it is. Like we all know how it is. And so when you start to stack, it calms you down and you can look at a situation for what it really is. And you give meaning to everything in your life. You give it a meaning. And so he says, where energy goes is like that like wherever your mind goes is what like energy flows through that. So if whatever you're giving your energy to, that's flowing through your life. And so for me, you know, when I learned like how to stack, it just really brought me to a place of like, I am just so abundantly blessed. Like no matter what I'm going through, no matter like the pain I've experienced in my life, the people who've hurt me, like when I'm stacking, I realize like life is so great. And like, I'm just grateful. Like whatever I'm going through, I'm so freaking grateful. And so stacking was a really huge thing for me, along with really just understanding that I'm in control of my mind. And so like he challenged us like every day, the first thing you do, get up and take an ice cold shower, like get out of your bed as soon as your alarm goes off, and like let your mind know that it works for you. And there's so many ways that you can apply that to your life. Like when you have a thought, do it. Like just do it is all that you have to do, because your mind is your bitch.
I love that. And like, as you're talking, I'm thinking, I practice stacking, but in the opposite direction, you know, like get mad, and then like, I'll just like think about how mad I am, and then I'll get even more mad because I'm mad, and like I'll start stacking negative things. But if you flip it and you can start stacking positive things, like how impactful that would be. Okay. So obviously you had like this total mind transformation essentially by going there. What do you think was something that like you really knew? Because I think sometimes when you say like when we're looking at things in a certain way, you're like, that makes total sense, right? Everything he was saying, you're probably like, that makes total sense. But what was something you felt like you knew, but he just put it in a way for you that you were just like, oh crap, like that was just like an aha moment for you?
So I think one of the biggest things is like the stories that I would tell myself, and like the stories that like I would make up. And like when you look, like just think of like a situation that's happened in your life, and you create this like freaking story, like you just create a crazy story about it. And then like once it happens, you're like, oh my gosh, like all of that stress and like all of those thoughts for no reason. And we all have stories, but he was talking about like our personal stories. And so he was like, I want to tell you guys about my friend. And one of my best friends, like we worked together all the time. And when when her mom was 13, her mom got pregnant and delivered her and had her. They were on and off the streets. You know, they were in food banks. They were homeless like nearly all the time. And when this girl grew up, she was 13, and she swore like that would never be her life. That was never going to happen to her. And she was raped by a family member at 13, and she got pregnant. So she's 13. She's pregnant because she was raped by a family member. She carries the baby all 9 months, delivers the baby. It's stillborn. And he was like, and I'm wondering, you know, do you guys know who I'm talking about? And I was like, I have no idea. And he was like, Oprah. And I was like, I never knew that. I had no idea. And he said, that's not her fucking story. That could be her story. And like, she could be like, poor me every day. And that isn't her story. And I was like, we freaking tell ourselves these stories. Like when that isn't her story is she's impacting the world. Her story is she is fighting for women all over the world to have a voice and to know like they are worthy of something bigger and they can accomplish all of these incredible things. And she's a billionaire, and she's freaking Oprah Winfrey. And that could have been her story, but it isn't her story. And so every day you have to think like, what story are you telling people? What story are you telling yourself? And you look at your problems in your life, and like that could be your story, but that's because you're looking at it like you're looking up at your problems. Like your problems are standing over you like they own you. And that's how you see it. But how you really need to see it is that you are standing over your problems. And they're really not that bad. And your problems could be a lot worse. But when you like close your eyes and like imagine yourself standing over the problems in your life, are they really that bad? Like, are they really big problems? Because they're not. Like, it could be so much worse, but we convince ourselves of these stories. And so, you know, he takes us through, it's called the Dickens Process. And it's almost like, what am I thinking of? The movie with like the ghosts of like Christmas Past, and like, what movie is that? I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what's called.
So they take you through, it's called the Dickens Process. It's so interesting. I encourage you to look it up and read about it. But it's something that like is like Transformation Day is what they call it. But he sends everyone out of the room, like all of the kids, because people have kids there. Like, it's freaking awesome. There are kids there. He asks all the kids to leave. And so it's pitch black in this room, and he takes you through the Dickens Process, you guys. And I'm not even kidding. It is so, like, it sounds like demons are literally coming out of people. Like, I was like, it like brought me to my knees when he says like, okay, what stories are you telling yourself? Like, what stories, like, how is it going to impact your life? And so you kind of see like how he like has you think about like, how's it impact your life in like a year, and then 3 years, and then 5 years. And so like the stories that we tell ourselves, truly, like, we are creating our future when we're doing that. And so that's what you have to realize is like, how does it impact your life? And then he takes you through exercises that like help you like reshape the way that you think about it. And like they play certain music at a certain time because of the way that you're thinking. Every single thing, every minute that you're there, they do certain things at certain times to trigger your mind. And so he says like one of like the best things, like the best stories that he tells, like to kind of help you understand the Dickens Process, is there was this guy that he was supposed to be meeting. And so he shows up at the hotel, and he's like waiting there for like an hour for this guy. And like the guy was like late, and he just never showed up. So Tony was pissed, and he goes out into the hallway, and he sees this guy with smoke all around him. And he was like, "Are you John?" And like the guy's like a stressed out mess, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I'm John. Like sorry that I'm late." And he's like smoking a cigarette. And Tony was like, "Follow me." And so they walk 2 blocks. They walk 2 blocks down to a cigar and cigarette shop. And he said, "Grab 4 cartons of whatever it is you're smoking, man." The guy's like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Grab 4 cartons of whatever it is that you're smoking." And so this guy's like carrying like these cartons of cigarettes, goes back to the hotel, and he got a room. So Tony got a room, and he's like, "Follow me." And they're like in the elevator, and Tony's freaking huge, you guys. And the guy is like holding his cigarettes, and he's like, "Are you going to kill me?" And Tony was like, "Just follow me." And so he takes this guy into the hotel room, and he sits him down, and he says, "Light one up." And the guy's like, "Okay." And Tony's just like talking to him, getting to know him a little bit. And he's like telling him like a little bit about his life, whatever. And he said, "Light another one up." So now he has 2 cigarettes, 1 in each hand. And the guy's like, "Man, I already have one." He's like, "Light it up." And so then he's like, "Light 2 more up." So now he has 2 cigarettes in each hand. And this is how, I just want you to understand, this is how the Dickens Process works. So it's like one of the versions of how you like break down the Dickens Process. So he's like, "Light another one up. Light another one up." And at this time, the guy's like, "Man, I really don't want to light one up." And Tony gets in his face, and he said, "I said, light it up right now. You better light it up." And the guy's like, "Okay, I'll light it up." And so like this guy, it gets to a point to where the guy has like 8 cigarettes in his hand. And Tony's like, "Light another one up, light another one up, light another one up." And he gets in his face, and he's screaming, and he's yelling at this guy to light another one up. And he gets up, and he locks the door. And like this guy at this point, like is like crying, and like there's black snot coming out of his nose. And Tony said, "Light it up, light another one up." And he gets in his face every time that the guy says no. And he said, "I said, light another one up right now. Light it up or I'll kill you." And so like this guy's like bawling his eyes out. Black snot is coming out of his nose. Like he can't breathe. And he has like cigarettes this thick in each hand. and like the room filled with smoke. Tony said he could hardly breathe. Black snot was coming out of his nose. And this guy eventually like got on his knees and was begging him to stop. And so Tony was like, okay, we're done. And he never picked up a cigarette again, ever, this man, because you have to reprogram like things that happened in your life, because we attach meaning to every single thing that has happened in our life. And he attached meaning to something that like gave him pleasure, or like when he's sad or when he's stressed out, he attached meaning to cigarettes. And we attach meaning to so many things in our life that are so unhealthy for us. But because of the meaning that we attach to it, we live by it. And like, that's all that we know. And so I was like, oh my gosh. But like when you have Tony like in your face yelling to you about this story, it's so crazy that like the meaning that we give things controls so much of us. And I was like, that, it was like freaking insane to even just hear him talking about that.
Yeah, sure. That's incredible. That is like, it's so true though, you know, that like we, like, I think even people with like money, they do that, or success, or they attach, like they've seen somebody not handle success correctly. They're like, it's a negative thing that they're almost like kind of afraid of. So that's super interesting. Okay. As far as like your business and stuff, like what is like one thing that you feel like you're going to be able to integrate to like leadership and like coaching people? And what kind of piece did you get from knowing that you can't like really control other people, but also like making sure you're pouring that energy that you want into the people that need it?
You know what? I feel like one of the biggest tools that I learned personally is like, I'm huge on like energies, and it's just something like I'm really passionate about. And so we learned, it's called mirroring and matching. And this for me was something like I feel like maybe like I want to say like I have like applied certain parts of it, but with like when they teach you mirroring and matching, you guys, hold on, let me find it in my binder. I have so many notes. It's like not even crazy. It's like nuts. Okay. Okay. So mirroring and matching. So this is something every single person can apply. And if you are taking notes, this is what you're going to want to write this down. So rapport is power and proximity is power. Rapport and proximity is power. And so this is like, they call it like biofeedback, and there's so many like huge words that you can use whenever like you're thinking about this. But so it's like rapport is like when you're connecting with someone, okay? And we learned this skill called mirroring and matching. And like what you do is, okay, so like let's say that it's like I'm going out to eat with, it could be a CEO, or it could be a potential, or it could be someone that like, or they're just like incredible, you know, whoever it is, but I'm wanting to connect with them on a different level. And so they teach you, it's called mirroring and matching. But what it means is, so let's say like we're out to eat, okay? And like if they go to grab their drink, you go and grab your drink. And like don't make it awkward, but like just like nonchalantly grab your drink. If they cross their leg, you cross your leg. You match the tone of their voice. So like if someone comes to you and, you know, Tony said Jim Rohn was like incredible at doing this. And it's like one of the reasons why Tony like was so connected to Jim Rohn is because he was like the master of mirroring and matching. And so tone of voice, you're matching tone of voice. And if someone comes to you and they're like, you know, hey, Alissa, I just don't know if the business is for me. You know, I'm just not having really any luck, and I'm just not sure like why I'm doing this and like what my passion is. That's exactly how I respond. Okay. So I'm not going to respond with, well, why aren't you passionate? Why aren't you fired up? I'm going to say, you know, hey, I know that you're having a little bit of a slow start, but I really want, like, let's look at your hundreds list. Let's see kind of, you know, what financial goals do you want? And I match their tone of voice. Okay. And he says, like, he's seen Jim Rohn do this in person, where someone who's been to his event and they really didn't want to stay. And Jim was like, why don't we give it a couple of days and just see what you take away? And they're like, okay. And like, that's all that you have to do is just mirror and match. And if someone comes to you and they're fired up and they're ready to go, match it. Like, I don't care if you are soft-spoken and you just don't yell and you just don't do that. Match them. Whatever tone of voice that they're using, their body language. Like, if I'm like here and I'm like playing with my hair and you're sitting across from me, like, mess with your hair. Like, if I like itch my ear or like I'm itching my arm, itch your arm. You guys, like, it's mirroring and matching, but you match the tone of like the tone of your voice. Use the same words. So someone comes to you, he used like, if you're like a boat salesman and someone comes to you and they're like, we really want an incredible boat for the summer. You wouldn't say, I have an amazing boat for you over here. You would say, I have an incredible boat. And you match their words. And so he said, when I learned this theory, I was so interested in it. And I was so interested in seeing if it really worked. And he's like, I'm all about testing the limits and like calling people out when they're wrong. So I went to the bar, and it was like, I just like started speaking and stuff. And I went to the bar and I was having my dinner and I was just sitting at the bar. I had a drink, had my dinner. I was going over notes for my next event. And I just learned this. And so he said, so what I did, there was like a group of women across the room, like way across the room. And he said, I'm going to test this out and see if it really works. And so he like finds a woman and he starts mirroring and matching her. And like, she would like look over at him, but he would like look away and like act like he was doing something. And then like when she would grab her drink, he would grab his. And like, if she did something, he would like, if she took a bite, like same thing, he would do the same thing. And so he like was doing this for a while, and she kept like looking over, and like he would look away, and then he was like doing something, and he looked back and she was gone. And he was like, shit, I probably creeped her out. And so he's sitting there and someone pokes his shoulder, and it's this woman from across the room that he was mirroring and matching. And she said, she was like, do I know you from somewhere? And I was like, holy freaking crap. But mirroring and matching, you guys, like, I want you to remember this, like, always. Like, mirroring and matching is how, like, like, people say, like, your energy is, like, in you, but your energy is, like, around you. And so, like, rapport and proximity, that is by mirroring and matching someone. And so another thing that he does, like whenever he walks into a room, is like within 50 feet in his mind, he'll say, I love you. And like instantly people are attracted to him, and like they want to talk to him, and like they listen to him, and like they want to know what he has to say. And it's like because of the energy like that he like explodes into a room when he walks into it. And so like the next time, I want you guys to test this. Like the next time you're in a room, like in your mind, like just say, I love you. And like he said, like I'll be like just like being somewhere so random, like in the mall or like whatever I'm doing. And he'll like say it in his mind, and then they instantly like they look at him and they like have a conversation with him, or like they just like, feel his energy and like his peace and stuff. And so I was like, this is freaking nuts. Like it's just things that I love, which some of you guys are probably like, what the crap? But I'm like all about it. So mirroring and matching is it's definitely something I will apply for the rest of my life. And like eventually, you know, you'll have to kind of like force yourself to do it. But once you do it, it is going to come so natural to you, and you truly will be able to connect with people on such a different level.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like those little things, I'm sure, like do make a huge difference. Even when like people are like leaning forward and you're like normally like, okay, I'm just gonna lean back, but now I'm like leaning into them and stuff. Like
touch your arm and they're like laughing. You touch
yeah,
them, you laugh with them. Yep.
that is so funny. Okay, I love it. So, what would have you used this yet, and has it worked?
Yeah, I feel like yes, but I feel like I can like have a great conversation with anyone. And so, but I feel like I never applied like the tone of voice thing. Like, I feel like be talking to me like this, and I'd be like, ah, you know, but like, I just like sit back and like, I feel like I listen better when I'm like mirroring and matching people.
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
don't feel like pressure, and I don't feel like I'm faking it. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, I totally did it at dinner last night. Jessica said. I don't know.
Did you feel the connection, Jess? Did you feel the vibe?
Pressure off, you know? And so like, I feel like for me, like I would always like feel like I had to put on a show, you know, like when I'm meeting a potential, or like just like when I feel like I've always had to like impress people, because I used to like care so much.
You see where I'm going with that?
And so like I would put so much energy into like, am I pleasing everyone? Like, am I saying the right things? Like, but because of this, it's like I'm totally like more chill, and like I'm actually like listening to people and not just like saying shit just to say it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I definitely can sometimes feel myself like listening to respond instead of like listening to listen, if that makes sense. So that's a really good point. Okay, so as far as like just like some person, like not to like get too personal, but just like what are some things that you felt like you really, you know, can work on, you can take away? Like obviously those are really good for all of us to kind of just be more aware of, but like what's something that you really kind of had like a breakthrough, if you don't mind sharing something, so that we can kind of just, that would be awesome.
So, you know, I feel like I just like used to care what everyone thought about me. And like, I don't want to use the word introverted, because I really don't like that word anymore after like just listening to Tony, because he says it's like the story you tell yourself. But I'm like a very like, I don't know how to like explain it. Like I just like, I'm a quiet person. Like usually like I'm listening, and like I'm like digesting things. And so like when you see me, and like I'm not like super talkative and like super out there, and like I just stay more reserved, but like I'm listening, and like I'm dissecting conversations, and like I have like 10 screens going on, and I'm like filing things away, and like it just is like who I am. And like I would rather sit at home with a book than like go to the bar, and like that's just is who I am. And I love that about myself, you know. But I used to care so much about what other people would think about me. And I feel like, you know, I've also fallen into like making my life always like look perfect. And you know, it's so easy to do, but like as a blogger, it was like all that I knew, you know. And like that is like, it like messes you up. Like it freaking messes you up, because like we had no money. Like I'm not kidding you, we had no money, but people would send us like a $3,000 stroller, and like we would like have to like post pictures like life is perfect and everything is great. And we would like, no one knew we were struggling, because like people would send us clothes and like just all of this stuff. And so like it messed with me so bad. And so like there are times when I'm like, I feel like I have to like put on like this show for everyone. And I have to like worry about what everyone thinks about me. And like if there's like one person in the room who doesn't like me, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I was just talking to Jess about this. I was like even, you know, everyone struggles with this. I was like, what's wrong with me? What do I need to do to make this person happy? But if I make this person happy, this person's going to be unhappy. And like something that I learned is like, if you're in a room of 30 people, there's going to be 30 different reputations going on in their mind. There's going to be 30 different stories going on in their mind, formed about you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you could get on a stage in front of 100,000 people, and it could be the best speech you've ever given in your life. That's 100,000 people who are making assumptions about you. And they're making a story about you, and they're forming a reputation about you. And there's just nothing you can do about it. But I don't want to live my life to be known. Like, I don't want to live my life so that people know me. You know, I want to live so that like I can just impact people on a level where I don't need recognition. I don't need someone in my face clapping for me and cheering for me. And I know like that who I am as a person like has nothing to do with anyone else. And like me being me is like honoring God and like the plan that he has for my life. And it's honoring myself. And I don't have to be anybody else. And like, it's okay that I'm reserved, and it's okay that like, I like stay to myself. And it's okay that like, you know, everything that I am, like I am happy with who I am. And there are always going to be things that like I need to fix. And so I feel like, you know, I would like be in denial about like certain things, and like just like things that like I do, or like my needs, like maybe my values get screwed up along the way. I need to be able to like really pinpoint that and fix it, instead of like acting like everything is fine, because it's not like only on social media. Like that's in my mind too. Like there are things that like I need to work on and I need to focus on that aren't fine, that we can like, that I mean, I know for me, I can like make myself think that it's fine because other things are more important. When like my needs and my values, like I can't get those screwed up, because like when I went there, like my needs and my values were all kinds of messed up. And so like he talks about like, and I'll read you the six needs that people have. And, you know, it's crazy to think, like looking back, I was like way more messed up when I went there than I realized. But it's like, I mean, that's like everyone in that room, you know, like you go there with one thing in mind, and then it's something like totally different that you take away from it.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that he said is like on I'm Not Your Guru is like, oh gosh, it was like a banana thing. It was a banana quote, but it was something about like, if you're not growing, you're dying, essentially. Like our like biggest thing in life is we should constantly be growing. And that was like so eye-opening. It was like, if you're green, you're ripening, and if you're ripe, you're rotting. That's kind of like the gist of what he was saying. And it was so good, because I was like, that's so true. Because if you're ripe, if you're at the point like that you feel like you're good, then you're rotting, because you're not growing, you're not getting better. So I love that you were like, I was like more messed up than I thought. But I feel like to even be able to say that, it's allowed you to have so much more growth.
I would never have said that before Tony Robbins. I'd be like, I'm great. Like nothing's wrong, you know? So here are the 6 human needs, and you guys can write these down. And like, I mean, it might suck to really take a look at and like figure out which ones you are. And, but I'm telling you, like, it's so worth it. So, need 1 and need 2. These are the 4 needs for personality. So there's 4 for personality, and then there's 2 for spirit. And so like the first one is connection and significance. And those are a paradox. And so the need 3 and 4 is certainty and variety. But when I was there, my biggest needs were certainty and significance. Those were my 2 biggest. And he was like, if you guys are certainty and significance, you need to stay an extra few days. I was like, no. But okay, so need 5 and need 6 is growth and contribution. And so he says, like, it's only by meeting your spiritual needs, which is growth and contribution, that you will experience sustainable joy versus momentary pleasure. So it's only by meeting growth and contribution that you will truly experience sustainable joy in your life versus momentary pleasure. And so he talks about, like, people find a way to meet their needs, like whether it's positive, whether it's negative, like every single person, they find a way to meet their needs. But like, if your needs are messed up, it's going to be like, you got to dig deep and like, why are those your needs? Like, what's going on in your life that like, those are your needs? And so that for me, like having certainty and significance was just like huge for me. And so he says, like, there's always a way to fulfill a need. The skill lies in finding a sustainable way to fulfill it, and in a way that gives you more pleasure than pain. And so he said, no matter how painful something is, like if it is a need, we don't care how painful it truly is. If it's a need, and we'll find a way to meet the need. And I was like, holy crap. And so like writing down your 6 human needs, here's a few questions you can ask yourself. Of the 6 human needs, which 2 have you been valuing the most? Which 2 have you been valuing the most? And this is the part that I was like, oh my gosh. What are the consequences of valuing those needs in that order? Like, how has it affected your life by those 2 needs, or like those needs, your most needs? How has it impacted your life? And then what do your top 2 needs need to be now for your life to truly transform? And then if you made that change, what would transform in your life? And so like that for me was so huge, because I feel like having my needs be like certainty and significance, there was like a lid on my life, and like I wasn't going anywhere. Like it was just a lid. And so like once I realized that, it was so huge for me.
I love that. That is so awesome. Just saying like being able to pick those out, I think is super interesting. Like I'm sitting here and being like, can I take a test? Like, how do I figure this out?
There's a test. There's a really cool test that you can take, and they actually, I can't believe I'm just remembering. It's like I'm just remembering this. There's a test that you can take, and there were some network marketers that I had met there, and they send it to potentials to take the test to realize like what type of like personality are they, how do they learn, like things like that. I'll get you the link. I need to look on my Tony Robbins group that I'm in. Okay, 2 keys to exceptional communication. And number 1 is the quality of my life is the quality of my communication. And communication is something that I just like not very good at. And so that was like a big thing for me. Well, I'm good at it, just not where it matters to be good at it, if that makes sense. And then number 2 is nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning we give it. And I was like, holy crap. But that goes to like the stories that we tell ourselves. Nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning that we give it. And that was like a huge thing for me. And so there are 3 forms of communication. Words represent only 7% of what actually influences human behavior. Isn't that crazy? Only 7%. Like words represent only 7% of what actually influences human behavior. And then voice qualities represent 38% of what influences another human being. In other words, how you use your words or use your voice will affect someone more than what you say. And then that one is the voice qualities represent 38%.
What's the other part?
And then number 3 is physiology. That represents 55%. The way you use your body represents the majority of what actually influences people when you communicate. Isn't that freaking crazy? Like only like 7% of your words really matter. Like that's it. And then as voice qualities is 38%, and physiology represents 55%.
That's insane. That's literally insane. Did he talk about it at all? Because even in the documentary that I watched, they did like a lot of writing and stuff. Did he talk about the influence of like writing things down or anything like that? Or did he just talk like, how did he, because I know that you guys wrote a lot of crap down.
Yeah, like finder.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll break, because like he's been using his voice for so long. Here's let me share this tip with you guys because it's so cool. So he's like all about like connecting like your body to like different parts of you. Okay. And so he says, your vocal cords are the thickness of your lips. So think about like how thick your lips are. That's how thick your vocal cords are. I don't know if you guys have all heard him speak, but it's like his voice is like, I mean, it can just like stop you dead in your tracks. And he said he went to a specialist one time just because he's been speaking for 40 years. And like, it's affected his voice. And so he goes to the specialist, and the doctor was like, this is so odd. And so he like keeps like bringing doctors in, and they're all like, there's no way. And so they say like, your vocal cords are the thickness of your lips, but his are thinner than a piece of paper. And they said, you like, when you speak, Tony, like it's not coming from your vocal cords, but he's connected something like deep inside of him to his vocal cords. And that's how he speaks. Like that's where his voice comes from. It doesn't come like he's not speaking from his vocal cords. He's speaking from like something that he's connected inside of himself to his voice. Isn't that freaking crazy? I was like, holy crap. Okay, tips. So by voice quality, in other words, it's how you use your voice will affect someone more than what you say. So like, are you yelling? Are you talking soft? Like, how are you speaking? So that is what that means. What was your question before I shared that with you?
I forgot it. The writing thing.
Oh, so because of his voice. Yeah. So because of his voice, you break up into groups a lot. That was like the most amazing thing too for me, is because like I don't share my stuff with people. Like my life is very, very private. And so like getting into a group of people that I don't even know and like telling them my biggest fears, like telling them like just things like I'm working through, that was such a breakthrough for me. Like that in itself was like the most freeing thing probably that I've ever done in my life. And it was like just so incredible. But yeah, you write down so much, like so many things, and like a lot of pages, like they open up and they're like poster size, and you like fill it. So yeah, you're writing tons of stuff down.
That's awesome. Somebody had a question. Did he give any tips for the busy-minded people?
Busy-minded.
Like people who are just busy in their minds.
I feel like he like, okay, so God, it's like so hard because like you just learn so much. But I think like for him, you know, like how he, like we start, God, this is so hard. So you start, like he wakes up in the morning, goes into the water, and then you do this practice. It's called priming. And it's like freaking nuts, you guys. Like, I don't know, it's like you like put your hands in the air, and then like you come down and you breathe out your nose. And you like do this. And he does it for like 10 minutes every day. But he would say like priming yourself and like just really getting your mind right. Because like you have to realize when you're busy in your mind's controlling you. It's not controlling your mind. And so like he would say like waking up and like making sure your mind knows you're in control, and then priming yourself is like something that he would say, like you've got to get control of your mind, because when you're staying busy in your mind is controlling you. And like that's all that there is to it. And your mind is your bitch, and you can't forget that.
I love that. So I guess like what tips would you have for us, like as far as like just if we're wanting to go to the next level of leadership, if we're just wanting to better ourselves? I mean, for me, I know that that's why I wanted to hear from you, is because I know that I do not have it all figured out, and that I'm open to, you know, learning and becoming a better person and also a better leader. What would be like something that you would say to help us get to that next level?
So like one thing that I learned is like he's all about like find someone like that is where you want to be, and like what are they doing, and like model them and do the exact same thing that they're doing. And like it's so like it's easy to say, but like when you actually think about actually doing that. And so then he shares like the ultimate success formula with us. And so I'll read these to you guys. But number 1 is know your outcome. So knowing your outcome. And that means what exactly are you going after? And clarity is power. And I feel like, like we know these things, but are we really doing them? So it says clarity is power. And your nervous system, which is like everything that he always talks about, is like how he connects his voice. Just like, he's met people who have cured themselves of diseases and cancer, and like just having everything in your nervous system and using that to your ability. And so he says, like, your nervous system takes you where you're looking with your eyes closed and open. And then number 2 is know your reasons why. Why is what you're doing a must?
Hold on. Can you repeat the one about the nervous system?
Yeah. Your nervous system takes you where you're looking with your eyes opened and with your eyes closed. And then number 2 is know your reasons why. Why is what you're doing? Why is it a must? And so he says, Jim Rohn always says, how is second, but your why is first. Which is like amazing when you like really think about it. Like your how are you going to do something comes after why you're going to do it. Take massive action is number 3. Number 4 is know what you're getting. And number 5 is change your approach until you pass your goal. And so, like his example, I'm sure you guys have heard him use it about the KFC man. And I think it was like he went to 1,000 banks or 1,000 banks or 1,000 restaurants or something until someone was interested in what he was doing. And so he says, if you do something and it doesn't work, what do? You change your approach. If you do something and it doesn't work, you change your approach, and you change your approach, and you change your approach, and you change your approach. And you have to like stop guessing. You have to actually change your approach. And I was like, oh, I love it.
Okay, hold on, just because I'm writing notes and I can't write fast enough. Okay, so number 2, know your why. Why is it a must? How is second, but your why is first. Number 3, massive action. Number 4, know what you're getting.
Yep.
And what was the last one? Do it until you pass your goal.
5 is change your approach. Until you pass your goal. Change your approach. And like he said this so many times. Like he would say it over and over again. Like and like randomly. He'd like, and if it doesn't work, what do? Change your approach.
I freaking loved the part in I'm Not Your Guru about when like the husband and wife and the wife stood up and I was like, what is this chick talking about? And then the husband stood up and he told this amazing story about the lion. You guys, you seriously have to watch it. When you get to that part, do not stop listening because it is the best part of the whole thing, in my opinion. I was literally like, you are blowing my mind with this.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tiff wants to know exactly what your morning routine is.
Okay, so I do like my miracle morning, but from Tony, I'll read you like when Tony tells you what to do every day, you freaking do it. Hold on, let me get this. Okay. So, and like it's actually like not complicated. Like you would think when you think of like someone like Tony Robbins, like that they're literally like they do things that like we just can't do, you know? But like it's so isn't true. And it says like the power of immersion is like what he calls it. But he's like you always have to have something scheduled. Like always have something scheduled. Like when you wake up, make sure that something is like scheduled for your day, for your week, for your month. And he says schedule it so that you know it's real. Because like we like will make plans in our minds, you know, but once it's scheduled, it's real. And so he says, get a coach to hold you accountable and give you strategic, ongoing feedback.
Where do you find one of those?
I don't know. That's a really great question. I could be like, it could be like, I mean, if you're wanting like for your business, but like truly someone like who is where you want to be.
Yeah.
Sure. And this is what he says. So it was really cool. He said, you don't do brain surgery on yourself if you are a brain surgeon. Like you don't do surgery on yourself just because you're a brain surgeon. You have to have someone else doing your brain surgery. No friends.
So it said
friends those are not your coaches.
So what was it after taking or getting a coach? So have something scheduled so that you know it's real. Get a coach to hold you accountable.
To give you strategic, ongoing feedback. Get a coach to hold you accountable and give you strategic, ongoing feedback. And this can be like for every aspect of your life. But you want to make sure, like, if you do get a coach, that it's like not a phony and like not like, you want to make sure like they're familiar with network marketing and that like they know what they're doing and talking about. No friends. Your friends are not your coaches. And then daily prime and net time. So 10 minutes twice a day is when he's doing his priming. And you can find a video on this. But like while he's going through his priming, he thinks about things that he's thankful for. My alarm is going off for the family call. So things that he's thankful for. Things that is coming to him in the future, which is really cool. And there's like a list of things that he goes through. It's hard to do because like I'm just like thinking like about like one thing the whole time doing it. It's hard to think about like tons of different things. But it's called priming.
Okay.
You can like watch a video of him doing it. It's
very cool.
And then 30 to 60 minutes of reading every day. Every single day, 30 to 60 minutes.
Like actually reading, no audiobooks.
You can do audio, just however you learn. But you have to like, if you're doing audiobooks, like sit down with a notebook and take notes. Like don't just like listen to it while you're doing something. Like actually like take notes and really truly listen. And then miss a meal, but don't miss reading for 30 minutes, he says. Which is so good. So he says there's like a difference between mental candy, which is like when like if you're like reading all of these books, that's mental candy is all that it is. But it's mental candy isn't like that doesn't grow you. You need something that will like help you produce results.
How do you tell the difference? Does he give you any example?
If you don't keep your mind, then weeds grow. And I have, I need to find them. I have some book recommendations throughout this.
Does he give you any tips to know the difference between mental candy versus actually growing your mind? Like,
I think,
obviously I'm not reading like romance novels and stuff, but like.
Well, the difference is like actually applying it is the difference. And there's a quote that he wrote. You guys, I have so many notes. But he said, where is it? I'll have to find it here somewhere. But it's just like talks about like, I forget. It's like if you are only, I forget what it is. I'll have to find it and tell you. But so that is like what he said, like recommends doing. But like what I do every day is, I am like, I wake up earlier than everybody. And I am like truly like taking care of my mind. And I'm doing things that, like I'm doing things in areas that I need to grow. And I'm at a point like where I've done so much self-development that like I need to like pause and like make sure that I'm applying things from what I'm reading and not just like feeding and like, you know what I mean? Like I can't just be like reading like a book every few days and not like truly applying things.
Yeah. Eric Thomas he talked about that. He said, I don't care if you read one page. If you just applied that one page for the rest of the year, your life would drastically change. Like, it was so crazy what he was saying. But yeah, I love that. That's so good. That's such a good point. Like mental candy versus actually like applying it to your life.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any last minute things? I know it's like getting to be like an hour. And I don't know if you care, but I just wanted, to let you share a lot of that. And it's funny, it's like tying together more since I've like watched the video, you guys like literally need to watch it tonight. Like I've watched it twice since I've watched it the first time. But if you guys are looking for a morning routine, the 5-second rule has an amazing morning routine as well. That was really good. She talks about like leaving your phone in the bathroom. And like just little things that like really help me because I struggle because I'm not a morning person. Or that's the story I've been telling myself, right? So I really appreciate you getting on here. Is there any last second tips that you want to give to everybody?
Okay, so he talks about like mastery. You guys, I could do this for like hours. I love it. But he says model someone who's already achieved what you want. And so he says, like, when we're like attracted to someone, I mean, not like you're like sexy and hot or whatever, but like when you're like, when your energy is attracted to someone, it's because they have something that you want. And so you have to remember that, like they have something that you want. And so model someone who's already achieved what you want, like model everything that they do. And then immersion is king, he says, like immersing yourself into whatever it is, like whatever area that you want to grow in is key. And then repetition is the mother of all skill. And he said, knowing the road ahead is success. That's success, is knowing the road ahead. Leaders anticipate the road ahead, and losers react to the road ahead. And what do you, so it says, man is what he believes. And I do not know how to pronounce this guy's name, but just write that down. Man is what he believes. And you must learn through total immersion. I have that written in here so many times. I'm not even kidding.
Does he give you like a specific example about like immersion and like getting like how to get more like immersed?
So he like, I mean, for him, so there was like a point where like his story is just so incredible. And like I heard it in such detail there. But he talks about like when you immerse, like immersion is, so like for him, Jim Rohn was where Tony immersed himself into. Like he went to every single conference that Jim Rohn had. And that was like his, like he just like immersed himself into that. Okay. And so like an example is there's a guy that speaks at the UPWs, and his name is Mike, and he's like has like from Jersey, and he's like super hardcore, but he's so cool. And his story is he was homeless, and he just had lost everything, and he was on drugs, and he was homeless, and someone had given him a book. And so he like read the book, and he got a job, but then he ended up getting kicked out of getting fired. And so he like spent everything that like he was like saving up for from his job, and he went to a Tony Robbins event. And so he goes to this Tony Robbins event, and it like completely just like changed his life. And Tony kept talking about like total immersion. And so this guy was like, I can't leave this. Like I need this so bad. And so he, after you go to an event, you can do what's called, you can crew. And that means that you can go to any event that Tony has, and you can go, like, you can crew for it. So as long as you pay to get there and pay for your stay, you can work the event. And so, like, it's really cool. You have like amazing opportunities to like meet him and stuff or whatever. So he started to crew with Tony because he needed to immerse himself in that. And so so he started going to every single event that Tony was doing, and he was security. And the guy said, don't look at Tony. This is like how he says it. He's like, don't look at Tony. Like, don't look at Tony. And he said, your stage left, or whichever way left is, your stage left, don't look at him. Like, no matter what you do, nobody looks at Tony. And so this guy is like stage left, like event after event after event after event after event. He's freaking stage left every single event. He never missed one. So it was like, I mean, I think like maybe a year had passed, and he was at every single event. And he's backstage. The event was over, and Tony's walking. And he's like, don't look at Tony. Don't look at Tony. Don't look at Tony. And Tony said, hey, Mike. And he's like, don't look at Tony. Don't look at Tony. And he was like, I'm talking to you, Mike. And he was like, yes, sir. And Tony was like, look at me. And he was like, yes, sir. And Tony was like, I just wanted to formally apologize that our checks are going out a couple of days late. And like, they didn't say why or whatever, but he was like, I just wanted to apologize. And Mike was like, I'm not getting paid for this, man. And he was like, you're stage left. Every freaking time I look out of the corner of my eye, you're there. Every time, every event, you're always stage left. And he's like, man, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just crewing. And Tony was like, there's like no way. And so he was like, so like time had passed, whatever. And he's leaving an event again. And like this time he just like, they're friends now. So they'll like say hey and stuff. And he gets in, like Tony's getting ready to get in his car to like drive away. And he's like, hey, Mike, can't wait to see you on stage tomorrow. And he's like, oh, Tony, like get out of here. And so you also have this guy named Joseph who's there 2 of the 4 days. So Tony's only there 2 days. And then you have Joseph who's there for 2 days. And so Joseph's leaving and he's like, yo, Mike, we're so excited for you to be on at 11. And like, Mike's like, no way. And so he goes, I went home. I couldn't sleep. I was like sweating. I was like freaking out. And come 11 o'clock, they called him on the stage and he shared his story. And like at this time, he's like, I mean, he just has turned his life around. He's like making millions of dollars, and he's like really is like an incredible person. But he's like, he had to immerse himself in that. And so now, like at every UPW, you get to hear his story, and like he teaches like the business, like the small business portion of it. And like, it's really is so incredible. But now he's like a part of the staff, and he's like very, very successful in his work and what he does. And like, it's just so incredible to see.
I think that's so amazing. Like, it's just, that is so crazy. That's such a cool story. And it is so true, you know, like just being careful about who you're spending your time with, and like not underestimating the effect that can have on you and what you think about.
Yeah.
So everybody's in consensus. Maybe we should do like a monthly Alissa tips from Tony. And you can we'll just go day by day until all the days.
There's like, literally have a whole entire notebook filled. Like, you don't even understand.
So I'll call you after this and we'll schedule it. It's fine. But I just really appreciate like you pouring into us and sharing that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Because I know it was like a game changer for you, and it definitely makes me like, I've like already looked into like different events and like things that, you know, I can go to just be like, you know, how can I grow? I looked into an Eric Thomas one because he like literally,
oh my gosh,
he's like amazing. There's like this cruise that he does. So I've been like looking into doing it. It's like a 7-day cruise. So
that is so freaking cool.
Yeah. But I just appreciate you like always leading from the front and pushing it to be better too. So
it's called Platinum. Let me tell you guys about this because it is on my dream board. So it's called going plat. So when you're a plat, and you guys are like all gonna have this on your dream board. I'm not even kidding you. So to be plat, it's $75,000 per year. And you get to go to every single event that he has. So like any event that he has anywhere in the world, you get to go to it. Okay. But Platt is like, it's his baby. And like, he wanted something intimate where he could like truly like just have like a group of people. There's like maybe about 100 people, maybe even less, that do this with him. Okay. And so what, like the little, like there's like little things that like he'll do and stuff, but like right before like this event, he does like, he'll just like surprise you with trips and stuff. And you like, he goes with you. And so, like he just like right before this, he took his Platts. They like fly private with him, and they like went to Bali and like they'll meditate, and then they'll like go and feed people. And then he was like, let's everybody get back on the jet. And so he like told him, he's like, all of your luggage, everything has been FedExed back to your homes. You have a new wardrobe waiting for you in Paris. And so they fly to Paris, and they go to Paris, and they have a wardrobe waiting for them. And then they have like these gorgeous gowns and tuxedos, and he takes them to like one of the most like famous galas in the world in Paris. And so like, you're his guest, like at this gala. Okay. And then like, once the gala's over, like, they go to Johnny Depp's house for dinner. And then you just like hang out there for a little bit, and then you'll fly and do just like stuff one-on-one with Tony and just like connecting with him. And then like you'll fly to like his ski resort or wherever, and you wake up and they have like coffee with Oprah. And like Oprah's just there to have coffee, and like, what the crap? I was like, oh my gosh, like I had to do this. Isn't that freaking nuts? It's called being platinum is what it is.
I think I've seen it on the video, on the movie. He like has a reception one night, and they like film him. And the lady, it was like so random. This lady went up to him and was like, I have a boyfriend now. And I was like, bro, do you know him like that? Like, but now it all makes sense because
he knows me like family, like him and Sage, they'll call and like check in, and like they'll just do like one-on-one stuff, like when you're like with them in groups, and it's like freaking amazing.
That is so.
I think I need to sell my house, but literally dying. Like that's so on my dream board, is to like be in like, I feel like for me that would be like complete immersion. Yeah. Because I'm so hungry for this. Like I joined. I signed up for his mastery university. And so that means like I get to go to Date with Destiny in December. And then next year I'll go to Fiji to his resort for his wealth class and his life class. And that's like super like intense. And he brings in like his best friends who are multi-billionaires from all over the world, and they'll fly in and they teach you like all this stuff. And so like once you go, I'm not even kidding you, you will want, like I watch at least one video a day of him. I'm always playing him like in my car, and like he speaks to me on such a different level. So whether it's Tony or whether it's someone else, find someone that they speak to you on the level that you need them to, and like every day, like listen to them, get to an event whenever you can. Like what have they done throughout their life to get to where they are, and then start like doing that, start modeling it.
I love it. This was like so amazing. It just like literally made my dreams feel like, okay, you need to step up a notch.
Seriously. Oh yeah, totally.
I'm sure like being there, even with people who were that hungry, it made you be even more hungry too, because everybody who's there is hungry to some extent.
Yes. I mean, it's just incredible. Like the people that you meet, I was like, I feel like I'm at like church camp. I have so many friends. But, like, it's really cool. I met a girl, and she designs jewelry for the Kardashians, and she lives in Manhattan. And she like, we talk on the phone almost every day, and she holds me accountable. And she's like, did you change this in your life? And like what's going on with you? And she'll like set it to me straight. I met a stylist from Luxembourg. I met a yoga teacher, meditation coach from Amsterdam. I met a girl from Connecticut who's a real estate agent, and like her business is incredible right now. And like it's just is so cool, the people that you meet.
That is amazing.
If you do go like with a group of people, you have to sit away from each other. Like
yeah, that's what my next question was going to be. Would you suggest going with anybody or by yourself?
Yeah, I feel like you can go with a group, but I would like don't sit together, don't stay like in the same room together. You have to like it's like total immersion when you're there. Like truly, it's insane.
I love that. Well, thank you again so much. And literally, we'll be scheduling
Yes,
another one soon.
I love it.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.